On the news, Senate moves to ban enlistment of underage into the armed forces. Plus, Kebbi State House of Assembly passes amended Child Rights Protection Bill 2025. Good evening and welcome to NTA Parliamentary News, reaching you from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. I'm Joshua Okuchide. Many thanks for joining us. We begin the news as the Senate is in the process of repealing and reenacting the Nigeria's Armed Forces Act, part of which makes provision to prohibit enlistment of persons below 18 years in the military. This is in alignment with Child Rights Act and international humanitarian standards. Other proposals in the bill also seeks to extend protections and rights to non-commissioned officers to boost morale and fairness. The bill, sponsored by Senator Abdulaziz Yaradua, also seeks to reinforce the resident's constitutional authority as Commander-in-Chief and vest the day-to-day operational command in the Chief of Defense Staff. When passed and assented to, qualified military lawyers will be able to represent the armed forces in civil courts.
The armed forces of Nigeria remain the cornerstone of our sovereignty and national security. They have stood gallantly in defense of our nation, from combating insurgency and terrorism to peacekeeping across Africa. However, the existing Armed Forces Act, rooted in a 1960s military decree and last consolidated in 2004, no longer meets today's realities.
The House of Representatives has passed a resolution urging the Federal Ministry of Education and the West African Examination Council to suspend the commencement of its computer-based examination in 2026, citing inadequate facilities and preparation. Adopting a motion of urgent national importance by Representative Kelechi Nwogu, the House notes that the technical glitches that led to shutting down of WAEC's 2025 result portal is an indication that time is not ripe for commencement of the computer-based examination policy.
It is wrong to start this policy now without adequate preparation, suggesting that the Federal Ministry of Education and Examination Body should have at least 3 years projection to commence the policy by 2029-2030 academic year. Concerned that the outcome of the WAEC result of students who are considered to be leaders of tomorrow using CBE will be devastating if allowed to commence.
This motion is referred to the Committees on Basic Education, Digital and Information Technology, Basic Examination Bodies, Labor, Employment and Productivity for further legislative action.
Lawmakers also condemned poor sanitary conditions in some parts of the nation's capital, while also highlighting security threats posed by non-functional street lights in Abuja and environs.
Blockage of drainages and sewage systems and the pervasive darkness from dysfunctional street lights in the Federal Capital Territory, FCT Abuja.
Especially during rainy season. If you see the kind of hold-up caused by blockages of drainages in Abuja, you will be shocked.
Go to Gorimpa and see the filth. They have taken over the streets. The cleaners that are going around the city doing some manual cleaning, they are off the streets.
I think the starting point is to acknowledge and commend efforts that are being made and then make additional recommendations or suggestions on how to improve on what is on ground.
Another committee was constituted to look into waste management as well as dysfunctional street lights in the nation's capital and make recommendations for legislative and executive action. To ensure seamless legislative activities in the state, as well as give lawmakers and the legislative staff a conducive environment to work, Governor Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau State has commissioned the renovated Assembly Complex, official residence of the Speaker, and other facilities around the state legislative complex. Ruth Stephen Oke reports.
Legislative activities of the Plateau State House of Assembly in 2023 was temporarily moved to the old government house to pave way for remodeling work to make the facility a state-of-the-art. Commissioning the State House of Assembly complex, Governor Caleb Mutfwang lauded the state legislature's autonomy as a product that enhances parliamentary dividends to the state and its people. The governor hyped the renovation work as a function of a healthy executive-legislative relationship aimed at providing a conducive environment to the lawmakers to perform their duties optimally.
We've seen the benefit of this autonomy. Evidence you can see with this refurbishment and renovation of the House of Assembly complex, because they get proper funding. And what it means is that we have created a conducive environment for our legislators to function, hoping that that can motivate and spur them to be able to think properly and make good laws for the good governance of Plateau State.
Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, Nanlong Daniel, appreciates the governor and commended him for supporting the project. Nanlong says the renovated complex is furnished with state-of-the-art equipment which will spur the performance of the lawmakers.
To be a legislator, but it is one thing to have a conducive environment where you can be able to discharge your responsibility. And this will produce quality laws, quality motions. There will be a robust full engagement. So your support to us is to see how we can translate your vision, your programs and policies into a legislative framework that will give you the capacity to achieve all your aspirations.
The reopening of the complex was sequel to the motion raised by the member representing Shandong State constituency, Joseph Booker, who notes that since the renovation work is completed, it will be fine if legislative business is moved to a more conducive environment. The motion was unanimously supported by the lawmakers. In Jos, Ruth Stephen Hockey, NTA News.
Still on the Green Chamber, the House of Representatives is correcting the impression of ministries, departments, and agencies of government saying budget defense should be tension-free, as the exercise is more of consultation rather than a witch hunt. This pronouncement crystallizes the focal point at a strategic workshop on the imperatives of responsible budgetary appropriation and effective oversight on budgetary performance in the Federation. Our correspondent reports that the 2 days workshop is convened by the Committee on Legislative Budget and Research. It is no longer news that the 2025 budget of a total of 49.7 trillion naira was financed by 7 principal revenue streams. They are crude oil sales, tax, royalties and rents, company income tax, custom and excess duties, value-added tax, alongside borrowings. Therefore, a budget, no matter how well drafted, cannot achieve desired outcomes without transparent allocation, appropriation, timely implementation, and strong oversight mechanisms.
A situation that some people will put construction of a road in the budget and subsequently divert such funds to maybe saying they are packing refuse or they are using it to entertain people. No, that is quite unacceptable.
Its international best practices draw more on collaboration amongst arms of government, strategic planning, digital and inclusive innovations, shared progress, and public trust.
Consulting one another, cooperative process, linking both arms of government and, I added, citizens through all budget processes.
Also critical is the medium-term fiscal framework, budget linkage, auditing, publication, restriction on commitment beyond revenue, and more importantly, enforcement of the provisions of the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2007 and many more.
That's what fiscal responsibility is. Ability to manage government funds efficiently and avoid waste and maintain a sustainable balance between income and expenditure.
The day 2 of the workshop featured discussions on harnessing financial and operational data for evidence-based budgeting, from data to decision, as well as the smart treasury. How technology is revolutionizing budgeting.
The most important thing is when you plan, you'll be able to control. Because if you don't have a plan, there's nothing to control because it's a guide.
Still to come, child rights protection receives a boost in Kebbi State. These and more after this time out. Do stay with us.
Do you know your representatives in the National Assembly? Do you know their duties, their promises, and their impact? It's time to bridge the gap between the people and their lawmakers. It's time to know your legislator. Know your legislator, a civic power in your hands, only on NTA Parliament. Join us every week as we bring your senators and representatives closer to you.
Voice of the people, the parliamentarian, the heartbeat of democracy. Know them, watch them, hold them accountable. Parliament for the people, our parliament, our pride. Watch us on NTA Parliament, 370 DSTV, 126 Gold TV.
This is Parliamentary News, reaching you from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. You can follow us on the platforms showing on your screen for more updates. Moving on, in a bid to create more job opportunities, boost economic activities and ensure food security, the Yobe State House of Assembly has passed a bill to establish the Yobe State Urban and Rural Access Road Authority. Babagana Kolo reports that the passage of the bill followed the consideration of the report of the Joint Committee on Works, Agriculture and Natural Resources.
At the plenary, the Yobe State House of Assembly received 2 reports of committees on environment, public service and government house. To study the reports carefully and contribute their inputs, the House resolved itself into the Committee of the Whole House chaired by the Speaker of the House, Turo Mabuba Machio. After scrutiny, the 3 bills were read for the 3rd time and subsequent passage.
In the Committee of the Whole, we start at the source of funding to the SRF, number 6, where we redrafted it as follows. Clause 6, subsection 1 and B, 2% of the FAC allocation to the LDA, deposited directly into the dedicated state road fund account.
The bills include a bill for an act to amend the Yobe State Bureau of Public Procurement as a regulatory body responsible for the monitoring and oversight of public procurement, a bill for an act to establish the Yobe State Urban and Rural Access Roads Authority, and that of a bill to provide for the establishment of Yobe State Roads Funds. The Urban Rural Access Road Authority, when established, will greatly assist rural farmers to easily transport farm produce to market, accelerating transportation of goods and services to towns, villages, and communities in this state. In the matter, I am Babagana Kolo, NTA News.
In another climb, the Kebbi State House of Assembly has passed the 2025 Child Protection Amendment Law aimed at strengthening the legal framework for safeguarding the rights and welfare of children across the state. Jafar Yusuf reports that the passage followed the presentation of a report by the House Committee on Justice and Judiciary, which underscored the urgent need to update existing laws in line with current realities and emerging child protection concerns.
The newly amended Child Protection Law introduces stricter penalties for violators and outlines clear operational guidelines for child welfare agencies and law enforcement officers. Its passage followed a public hearing that drew contribution from child rights advocates, legal experts and community leaders, all aimed at ensuring the law meets present-day realities. The legislation enjoyed wide support from lawmakers, signaling Kebbi State's strong commitment to safeguarding children's rights and promoting a secure environment for their growth.
A bill for a law to repeal the Kebbi State Child's Rights Law number 012 of 2021 and reenact the Kebbi State Child Protection Amendment Law 2025 and other related matters is hereby read for the 3rd time and passed into law.
Chairman of the House Committee on Justice and Judiciary, Barrister Faruk Abubakar Maisudan, emphasized the law's significance in advocating the welfare of children across the state.
All other hurdles and challenges faced by lawyers and courts in enforcing the child rights law will now be addressed. And by the grace of God, children will be treated as human beings like other children of the world are being treated.
With legislative processes concluded, the bill now awaits the governor's assent, a move expected to further strengthen child protection effort in Kebbi State. In Burikebi, Jafari Subilo, NTA News.
In other development, the bill seeking to establish Akwa Ibom State School of Culinary Studies Hospitality Management Board has been passed by the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly. Osika Kokon reports that the bill is sponsored by member representing Urwan State Constituency, Itoro Etim, and was passed after consideration of the report presented by the Chairman House Committee on Education. Our report.
The Chairman House Committee on Education and member representing Udunwoko State Constituency, Kenem Onofio, while presenting the report, says the bill will provide specialized training for the youth in the gastronomy sector, train chefs to become successful entrepreneurs in the culinary and hospitality industry, provide job opportunities for the teeming youths, among others.
The input obtained during the public hearing assisted the committee to arrive at the following observation. Prepare Akwa Ibom chefs for export and promote local cuisines. Enhance industrial growth and economic development of our dear state.
After the clause-by-clause consideration at the Committee of the Whole, the member representing Ikorekbenoboro State Constituency, Jerry Otu, moved to a motion for the bill to be read the third time and was seconded by member representing Eket State Constituency, Nsidiba Akata. The Speaker of Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly, Udemoton, directed the Clerk of the House, Nsika Abasi Rock, to communicate the decision of the House to the State Executive for appropriate action.
Read the third time and pass into law. This is the law of the land.
Meanwhile, 2 other bills have passed through first reading and are a bill for a law to repeal the Public Procurement Law, Cap 122 laws of Akwa Ibom State 2022, and to establish the Akwa Ibom State Public Procurement Regulatory Agency, and the Fiscal Responsibility Law Amendment Bill. The Speaker of the Moton referred the bills to House Committee on Business, Rules and Ethics for rescheduling. Zikak Okon, NTA News.
The National Assembly is restating its commitment to building a vibrant and people-oriented legislature capable of responding to the complex policy challenge of the 21st century. This was re-echoed during the opening of a capacity-building workshop on legislative processes and strategic administrative techniques, organized by the Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, NILS, in collaboration with the Parliamentary Institute of the Republic of Benin. Mohamed Rabioli has details of the grand finale.
The workshop represents practical demonstration after the 3-year Memorandum of Understanding entered by the two institutes comes into fruition. The training borders on exchange of experience and interparliamentary engagement towards democratic and legislative advancement in the sub-region.
De notre institution et au-delà du peuple béninois.
As we embark on this learning journey, remember that sustainable development depends not only on visionary policies, but also on capable institutions.
At the end of the workshop, fruitful policies that can translate intentions into tangible results for citizens will emerge. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
As Nigeria continues to navigate challenges of governance and citizen participation, civil society groups and political scientists are calling for a shift from liberal democracy to a more inclusive, people-centered system that better addresses citizens' needs. This suggestion was made at a national conference on the future of democracy in Nigeria organized by the Peering Advocacy and Advancement Center in Africa. Joseph Otse reports.
The recent Anambra State governorship election has once again put Nigeria's electoral system to the test, a process many stakeholders describe as largely credible and transparent. But beyond credible polls lie a deeper question. Is Nigeria's democracy truly delivering on good governance and improving welfare of citizens?
We reaffirm our collective responsibility to ensure that democratic reforms are not episodic, but enduring, not elite-driven, but citizen-centered.
At this national conference on sustaining demographic growth in Nigeria, civil society actors and policy experts acknowledge progress in electoral reforms and institutional framework. However, they emphasize the need for leadership driven by integrity, credibility, and genuine service to the people.
You must strengthen constitutions and constitutionalism. You must promote peaceful constitutional transfer of power through peaceful election, establish civilian control over security apparatuses, promote and protect fundamental freedoms and human rights.
If our democracy must endure, it must include the aspiration and the needs of the people, whether they are poor or rich, or whether they belong to the middle class.
Political analysts at this forum are also on the view that to strengthen democratic process in Nigeria, there is a need for more decentralization of power, enhance constitutional provisions, and empower subnational governments to drive development more effectively. In Abuja, Joseph Oten, NTA News.
That concludes the bulletin at this hour. Remember, you can watch these newscasts and other programs on the social media platforms displayed on the screen. I'm Joshua Ogochide. Enjoy the rest of our programs. Goodbye.